Alarming numbers of Lagos residents affected by last Wednesday's traffic gridlock are heaving a sigh of relief after the horrific experience of spending, in some cases, as long as 12 hours snarled up in their vehicles and not being able to either get to their offices or other places of businesses due to the closure of the Independence Bridge. Well, at this point, we're now being joined by one of the busiest ministers in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's cabinet, Nigeria's Minister of Works and the immediate past governor of Ebonyi State, Senator Dave Umahi, to help us understand how his ministry is working hard to deliver quality and motorable roads to Nigerians, especially at this time. Well, good morning, sir. Great to have you on the morning show.
Oji, good morning.
Thank
good morning. Steve, good morning. Kachi, good morning. And good morning to Nigerians.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Now, you kept your promise. The rehabilitated Independence Bridge was declared fit for use on Friday, despite the notion that the bridge was to be reopened today or would have been closed for 2 months. Now, that reopening of that bridge was done just barely 72 hours after the traffic gridlock last week, Wednesday. We understand that you stayed behind in Lagos to supervise the reopening of the bridge. Kudos to you for your efforts. However, we understand that this move is just a palliative measure. And what are the plans for the bridge in the coming days? And what measures have been taken to ensure that the mayhem that occurred last week does not reoccur? We know that you have issued out a warning to all federal controllers that no road or bridge should be closed without first obtaining approval from the relevant authorities. But you know, Lagosians who suffered in traffic last week want to know if there's been any sanctions, especially on the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Olukorede Keisha, who announced the closure of the bridge, which you said she did independently, knowing the complexity of such actions in Lagos. Now, do you have an explanation as to why she went above your head?
Oji, too many questions at a time, but let me take the last one.
Sure.
Yes, I was very disturbed because the closure of the bridge, the process should have been for him to have reported to the PAM secretary in writing and, of course, through, WhatsApp message because it's an emergency situation. And then the PAM secretary would have also reported to me. And, of course, in an emergency situation, while you're reporting to PAM secretary, you are also, copying me as the minister because it's an emergency situation. So that was not done. And we temporarily placed her on suspension to ascertain why that was done. And so she presented to us the picture of, the bridge as it was at the time she was closing it. So we saw that there was a very big, crack. And if that bridge was not closed at the time it was closed, it would have led to multiple traffic accidents. And that would have been good, lives would have been lost. And so when we looked at it, so we agreed with her that there was a need to close that bridge. But the only mistake was that she should have escalated, the closure at the time she did. But I also saw that she announced to Lagosian, a couple of days, look, we are going to close this bridge. So after we looked at the whole thing in the ministry, so we decided to, recall her and pardon her for the honest mistake. So that's what happened. She has resumed her work.
All right. Honorable Minister, I would like further clarifications on what actually happened. And I will approach this from two angles. First, staying with the angle of the federal controller that Oji referred to, are you saying, Minister, that you didn't take any action when you saw that there was at least a 2-day announcement? There was an announcement 2 days before the closure, or it was only after there was a backlash that a lot of people were complaining and the president himself had to intervene for you to come to Lagos to sort it, that you realize the enormity of what has happened? And then when you say that you placed the director on temporary suspension, was he or she first queried as required by civil service rules? What was the explanation given? Then, more importantly, have you consulted with the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu? Because he addressed the media, he addressed the state, and he was emphatic about the fact that there was not going to be any turnaround, and what would be necessary will be to manage how Lagosians will cope. Certainly when he was speaking on that day, on Thursday morning, he wasn't aware that you were going to intervene and announce a suspension of the closure of the bridge. So what you said was completely at variance with what the governor said to the people. At what point did that change? And what did you achieve in 72 hours that has now made the same bridge that the governor said would take a minimum of 2 months to fix? What did you do to it in 72 hours that we are now, everything seems to be back to normal? Explain to us what happened, sir.
I don't know why, some of you are pressing very hard for the controller to be punished, unduly for taking the action to ensure that, lives were saved. You can, save lives, and then you would have devised some certain protocols. And that's what happened. So if the announcement was made, it was made in Lagos. It was not made in national TV, for my attention to have been drawn to that. So when I say that I was not aware, it means I was not aware. The announcement of 2 days would have been made in Lagos. And that is not, denied. So now the governor is the governor of Lagos State. Why we are in Lagos and the residents of Lagos, we are all his subjects. And so he is not an engineer. And then so he had to rely on what the contractor and the Minister of Works engineers told him. So he had to rely on that. But I'm also I'm an engineer, and all my life I've been in the field. By God's special grace, I understand engineering very well. I'm a fellow of the Niger Society of Engineers. There are many, many ways to solve an engineering problem. So when I came, I first of all evaluated what happened. And what happened was it was a construction error, and that was about 53 years ago. The method of design, then would have changed, from what we have now. At the approach slab, is supposed not to be, 2 ends free. It's supposed to be 1 end fixed. So the 2 ends were free, and one was, resting. One end was resting on a, retaining wall of the bridge, and the other one was resting on, sand field, sharp sand field. And so at the moment the sand leaked, then he had to slip, and that's what happened. So he tilted, and that's what the controller saw and said, look, if a vehicle goes on it, it would be a catastrophic situation. So she had to close it. But she also took out to this, according to her report, to announce. So why, when I say, suspending her, it wasn't officially, that she was suspended, but she had to step aside, from the activities of the restoration of the bridge, while we investigated. So that's what happened. And so it didn't take time, it didn't take more than 24 hours for us to understand why she did what she did. And then going forward, we've agreed on the method. Now, coming to what happened, how did we do it? When I came there on Thursday, 2 p.m., I first of all had to go, inside beside the abutment to look at the integrity of the abutment. If I do some filling, because what the rehabilitation design was supposed to be on decompile, which means that we start to do piling of that 11 meters approach slab. So we do piling, and then we now do concrete on it. That's why the governor rightly said it was going to take 2 months, because it's give and take. Piling would have taken 1 month, and then you cast the concrete, and then you have to allow concrete 28 days, to attain its 95% strength. And that's what the governor, saw the design, and he was briefed, and that's why I made the announcement. But when I came, I had to devise different, approach. And the approach is to check, the retaining wall. And if I feel that space, of the approach slab, if I fill it with sharp sand, compact it, then put stone base, and then do, stabilization of the stone base with cement, and then lay my asphalt binder and wearing, will I achieve the same purpose? Yes. And why we say it is temporal, but, permanent in a way, is that when you do that, then you watch, what you have done. And so every night, I'm still in Lagos, every night I have to go there and they watch when the traffic is less and watch. Is there any settlement that is noticed? We have not seen any single settlement there. And so if after 3 weeks, there is no settlement, then it becomes a permanent solution. But if there is settlement, then we have to now do section that section into 2, and then we concentrate on 6 meters because it's 12-meter carriageway. Then we concentrate on 6 meters, to do a piling, which will be a retaining wall, and then we now place the slab on the abutment as it's existing, and then also the other end is going to rest on a new piled, reinforced concrete. So that is, why I work all through the night on Thursday, and by 12 o'clock on Friday, we were set, and then we did cleaning up to 1:22 p.m. when we now declared the bridge safe, and of course I had to ride on it. There's nothing as good as using yourself to do the testing, and that's the difference between engineers and doctors. The engineers use their lives, to prove the integrity of their work. But doctors, we use other lives to prove the integrity of their learning. So I had to ride on it to say, Lagosians and Nigerians, look, this is safe. And I drove myself. So that's what happened, Steve.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your submission on that. I think that that should offer some level of clarification for Nigerians out there. But now let's talk about, other pending projects within the country. Now, your ascent to this position saw you inherit a lot of pending projects that a lot of Nigerians will now wonder what the status report on them are. Specifically, we're looking at the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Expressway, which has now, apart from being unfinished, has also increased in terms of how much is required, going from about 165 billion to over 1 trillion needed to complete that project. We also have the East-West Road in the South-South that has dragged on for nearly 2 decades. A lot of Nigerians will now ask, what is the problem with our projects and the fact that they hardly move on as planned? Deadlines are hardly met. Do we have funding shortfalls? Would you blame inflation? As the Minister of Works, in your capacity, we've already mentioned that you're quite busy. What would you say, looking at all of these different issues, is the reason why we hardly are able to meet necessary deadlines? And for the projects that you met in this position, do you have plans to complete them? And how are those plans faring?
Yeah, Kachi, specifically the Abuja, Kaduna-Zaria-Kano road you mentioned. Of course, the road is 375 kilometers by 2. That is, about 750 kilometers. And so when we came on board, Jolobeja has substantially completed, about 240 kilometers. Leaving about 140 kilometers. And this 140 kilometers in sections 1, which is, within Abuja, between Abuja and Niger, that's about 38 kilometers. And section 2 is 82 kilometers. And section 3 is about 7.6 kilometers. So when you add all this, it came to about 140. And so the bottom line is that Beja was asking for a variation about, up to 1, trillion. And when we looked at it, we said it wasn't possible, So we made offers, and after 40 months, it was not possible for us to agree. So we had to terminate the job. Now, what have we done? We've increased the scope. Sections 1 and 3, we've increased it by over 17 kilometers, and that cost is 252 billion. It's not only that we increased the scope, but we also, changed the pavement design to reinforced concrete. By this coming Saturday, we would have started laying of the concrete. People that are there will see that we've started we primed the road. We've done all the necessary, sub-base and base course works, and we are putting reinforcement. And by Saturday latest, the concreting on that, Abuja, between Abuja and the Niger will be on. There is also work going on at the Kano end. At the Kano end, we also extended it to Aminu Kano International Airport by about, 11 kilometers, apart from the 7.6 kilometer that is within the original scope. And so, also at the Kaduna section, which is 82 kilometer by 2, we have also awarded it. It's 527 billion, and it's all going to be on concrete. And by Sunday, a week today, we are going to flag off the construction. So those projects are intact and they are working. And the variation, we were able to cut down on the variation. We were able to increase the scope, and we were able to also put solar lights to run all the way from Abuja, down to Kaduna, down to Zaria, down to Kano. Why we did that is that we are getting set to tolling that road as soon as we complete it. And everything give and take is going to be within 14 months from the day it was the agreement was signed. And the East-West Road you talked about, we take East-West Road from Abuja to Lokoja. We have about 4 contracts that are ongoing as we talk now. There is this, routine that we have when, asphalt is laid. And so we have over 20 kilometers between Abuja, done by RCC and Dantata. So we had to, scope it, and it's been, rehabilitated. When you go on that road, you see it is folding. The asphalt is folding. And when you talk to them, they say, oh, it's high temperature. Well, we are reworking it. And then between Lokoja and Benin, we have 4 contracts there. We terminated 3, and we've re-awarded the 3. And so, we specifically say, listen, you have to follow one carriageway. You conclude one carriageway. The first section is being done by CGC, and then the second section is being done by CCECC, and then you have the CBC, also working on that section, and you have the Bua section in Ekwoma. You'll recall that you showed in your television when a truck failed, far back at September in 2023, and somebody had to, swim to go and rescue the driver. Now it is no longer, the same. You need to see what we have done there. We dug the road up to 1 meter, filled with lumps, filled with, sharp sand, filled with stone base, treated it with cement. And today, Bua is laying, 8 inches concrete on that road. And that is what we're doing. And the washout at Ugele section, the washout at Ahoda section, they have been, replaced because the road originally was constructed within the floodplain. And so the flood of 2023 came and washed off everything. So we've restated that road, those sections with reinforced concrete. And so if you move, towards Bayelsa and River State, we have one section fully completed by Setraco. It's ready for Mr. President to commission. We have the other sections, and we've agreed that that section is going to be completed by December. And then you move to East-West Road, between East-West Road and One. That's the most traffic road in this country. And so when we came on board, we saw that this 30-kilometer of road was awarded at 156 billion. And we looked at it, and we saw that the design was not going to, the pavement design was not going to carry the traffic. So we changed this to reinforced concrete. And I want to say that RCC, after back and forth, they are doing a very good job. And by the end of April, they would have completed one section of the carriageway. That 2 carriageway. Each carriageway is about 15 meters. They completed, and we see that when you complete it, we can allow you to go to the next carriageway. So part of the route as completed is being opened for traffic. And you get down to Ekate in Akwa Ibom. We had to bypass the busy township road. And so that work is going on. And the Ekate, proper, we had a deflection of the completed road, not under us. So we are working on that. And then the remaining part of this West Road is the 3 sections between Akwa Ibom and Cross River. The Akwa Ibom section is being done by CCCC. We have redesigned it, and the work is at advanced stage. And the second section being done by Beja. Beja, again, forth and back, we had to terminate the job. And it's been awarded to Recont. They have remobilized to site, and the work is going on. And then the last is the indigenous contractor, Samatech, who bought into our reinforced concrete, program, and is doing a fantastic work, there. So no section of East West Road is abandoned. Work is ongoing in all of them, and the president is poised to having it completed before the end of December 2025.
All right. Senator David Umahi, it appears that you have your hands full. We know that you also visited the construction site of the controversial 30 kilometers Lagos-Calabar coastal highway. And then we've seen reports that you said that the project will be commissioned by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 25th, 2025. That's just less than 2 months away. Many Nigerians have expressed skepticism with regards to that announcement. Can you clarify or, let us know if this is actually the fact?
Where is Roof on Fire? I wanted to see Roof on Fire because
he'll be here on
said
Monday.
I was in Independence Bridge. I saw them digging. I saw them with crocodile eye. How can they finish the work in 24 hours?
You did.
Well,
you proved us wrong.
Yes. The Lagos-Calabar is 750-kilometer route, and it's been procured in sections as approved by Federal Executive Council and BPP. The first section is 47.47 kilometers, by six lanes. Each lane you have three lanes in each carriageway, 3 lanes, and at the middle you have a train track of 12 meters, width, and of course you have bridges along the line. So the first section is supposed to be done in 36 months, started in March 2024. So we've done about 1 year. Now the contractor has achieved from Ahmad Bello Way, where Channel Zero is achieved an average of about 15 kilometers, both carriageway. Is constructing a number of retaining wall because we made sure that our road is raised above the highest expected flood level of the ocean, and so that has put a lot of buildings, adjoining buildings, in a very serious situation, in the sense that our road level is at the level of their decking, first decking, and so we are constructing retaining wall all through. Now, what we have said to Nigerians is that by May 25th, 2025, there will be 30 kilometers that is ready for the president to commission in the section 1. And what is the 30 kilometers? 20 kilometers continuously from Ahmad Bello Way will be, so, and then 10 kilometers at the end of section 1, which is Lagos Junction. And why are we leaving about 17 kilometers? It's because of settlement, because the settlement of the sand by the reason of our instrument is going to take about 6 months or thereabout to properly settle because of the filling of up to 10 meters height within that section. Even though High Tech has procured an equipment that assists in the direct compaction of the sand, so it helps, and of course sand can be, compacted if it has water, and all it does is to drive away the air within it. So that 30 kilometers is going to be ready by May 25th. And I was there, and I was very, very happy, honestly. And Oji, I would like you to go and drive from our Bello Way. When I was there, I was so excited. And I say, if the street of, Coastal Highway can be this beautiful, how will the street, of heaven, how beautiful will it look? And so it helps us to do more and better to make heaven. So it's a beautiful place, and I would like you to go there and see for yourself. But in Challenge 13, we are very much, confronted with the ocean surge. We had done everything ready to concrete. I said, no, don't concrete, because the ocean is washing away part of, the sand field there. And so we have looked at it. We went with journalists yesterday, and we looked at it. We said, look, we have to do ocean protection, and that's what they're doing. So we may skip that 1 kilometer until the ocean protection is done, and of course, it's expected. So this is what we are doing, and we're likely going to have 10 kilometer ready in Section 2. Section 2 is 55 kilometer. It's running from a lake, going through the busy Lekki deep sea port, and then, of course, you have Dangote fertilizer, the Dangote refinery. You have the Lekki deep sea port. You have a lot of companies over there. So we're going to be doing a lot in terms of flyover to ensure that conflicts will be resolved for evacuation of goods within that zone. And so we're likely to have another 10 kilometer of, concrete from Section, 2, over there. So by 14th of this month, we are going to be flagging off the construction in Calabar, axis. I saw in the social media when people say we are constructing all in Lagos. No, that is not a fact. We are, working right now in Calabar and Akwa Ibom. 14th flag off in Cross River, 15th flag off in Akwa Ibom, and 16th flag off of the Trans-Sahara route, in my own state, Ebonyi State. And that Trans-Sahara is running from Calabar to Ebonyi, Ebonyi to Benue, Benue to Kogi, Kogi to Nasarawa and to Abuja. And that's the third legacy project of Mr. President. So they're all linked, together. Both Lagos-Calabar is linking through Calabar, down to Ebonyi to Abuja, and then at the Lagos end is linked up through the Hamad Bello, through a lagoon, which we are going to have we're going to have a tunnel, through the lagoon, going to the Snake Island, and they take us to Badagry, which is where the Sokoto-Badagry is linked. So if you look at it, it's all in a kind of, loop, and you get to Abuja, you now link to northeast, through the Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe. So the 6 geopolitical zones are covered by the 4 legacy projects of Mr. President.
All right, Honorable Minister, the general submission online is that this gentleman seems to know what he's talking about, but that they would love to see all that you are saying, translated into action, deliverables. And on that, I would like to stay with
the action is Steve. Action as seen on the field. Let anybody, I'm live. Let anybody say that what you're saying in terms of active, activities on this route, they are not there. I would like anybody to say so. And in the coming week, we are going to be putting forward, for public, views and information, the projects that Mr. President will be commissioning, from the first day of May all through the month of May. There are some he will not be able to go to commission, but we directly will go and commission it. And we'll also be putting forward the projects that will be ready for commissioning, by the December, this year. So it's not, I'm not a man of words, and I don't darken counsel without knowledge. I say what I know, and I visit this site. So I know, and I can tell you, offhand to a certain extent, what activity is going on in each of the geopolitical zones. I can tell you that.
All right, that's very commendable. So my questions, and I'm staying with the Independence Bridge and then the Lagos-Calabar Highway for now. Just for for clarity and for the benefit of Lagosians, are you saying that if you watch what you have done with the Independence Bridge and that there are no settlements, we're good to go? You won't have to revisit it in 2 or 3 weeks?
Excellent. Fine. You cut it well.
Absolutely.
You
all right.
cut it well.
That's cool. So the second part, Honorable Minister, has to do with the Lagos-Calabar.
Yeah, but let me say something.
Okay.
Yes, just one moment. I have also observed some deflection at the ramps of the Eko Bridge.
Okay.
I visited there with journalists, and I've said, don't touch it. I'm coming back. And so let me use one stone to kill 2 birds.
All right.
When I come back finally to look at the Independence Bridge, I will come up with the design and in agreement with the contractor and, of course, my engineers, what we are going to do.
Okay.
And we will never put Lagosians to suffer again. So we're going to handle it professionally. And we put it forward. Even our method of construction, you know, the engineers that are out there that are better than us, you know, they may give us a better idea of how to handle the project. So it will be necessary going forward that we put up the method of construction and other information to the public domain so that they can, you know, maybe make some, you know, contribution. That is, you know, the procedure going forward. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's good. That's very good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I also went to, you know, look at what Julo Beja is doing, and they build well. Beja is working in Dido Bridge, working on Tomeland Bridge, working in a Kata Bridge, you know, all below the deck. May not see what is going on.
Okay.
But it's just like the deck is like the head. But what goes beyond the in these three bridges. And then in Eco Bridge, between Kata Bridge and Eco Bridge, we saw that, you know, a dredger hit one of the pipes, you know, the pipe caps. It's just like, you know, a vehicle hitting somebody's leg. And I had to, you know, descend to the smaller boat, you know, deploy the, you know, divers, and the divers had to go down there, and I saw very terrible damage, you know, done to one of the piles. And luckily, it was only one pile. So one pile has been totally damaged and destroyed. And so we're lucky, because if it were like 2 piles or 3 piles or 4 piles, then that would have necessitated within 24 hours to close that bridge. But we didn't. So we are devising a means of how to do another piling to replace that pile that was damaged to assist the bridge. But very terrible situation is that the barge has sunk. The barge is sunk, you know, within that location. And so we have alerted all the authorities who are responsible, you know, requested Lagos State government to announce the closure of every water, you know, waste activities between Eco Bridge and Kata Bridge. Because when we were there, it wasn't all that a high tide. So you could see, you know, some elements of that barge, you know, there. But when high tide comes, you know, people may not see. So anybody going through there is suicide. It's suicide, you know, mission. So it is important that that is, you know, done and done immediately. And of course, within the under the deck of the Independence Bridge, we saw the pipe caps going away. So we've told Buildware to immediately go within that, you know, about 4 of them, to do everything to restate it within 2 weeks. But it will not necessitate to closing the bridge again. So it is very important that I put this in public domain.
All right. That's very good, Honorable Minister. Thank you. Okay, so very quickly on the Lagos-Calabar Highway, last month, I'm sure you must have followed it, there were a series of protests in the United States, in Texas, Houston, in Chicago, where a number of Nigerians who have invested in some property along the Okwaja axis protested that I think they're talking about $250,000 investment will be in jeopardy given the diversion.
250 million.
250 million, sorry. $250 million. Absolutely.
Steve, yes.
250 million. Thank you for the correction. Yes. And they are complaining, they are threatening, as you must be aware, that they might want to report Nigeria and your good self to the FBI and to the Homeland Security, given that they fear that their investment might be in jeopardy. Where are you on that? How are you tackling it? Will there be compensation? Are you truly going to have to demolish some of this property that they are referring to? If you are going to, what sort of compensation will be in place? And don't you think that this might affect further investments from abroad, particularly from Nigerians in the diaspora, who think that, you know, they may need to have a home or two here, or even just for investment? And then on a general note, what sort of compensations are there that your ministry is giving to those whose property might be affected? Maybe you might also want to use this opportunity to give us clarification on what has happened so far with Landmark, with the owners of Landmark, part of what is out there is that it is the treatment that was meted out to them that is now pushing Landmark to some states in the southeast and south-south and to the Gambia, where they think that investment, will be a lot more friendly. Have you made out any compensation to the Landmark thing? Are you back in good terms, or, is business gone sour?
Steve, sometimes I wonder whether we are relying on social media or we are relying on facts, in dealing with the issues of our nation. Because if somebody, out there dishes information, before we can work on that, as responsible, people that you are, you have to investigate. And yesterday, I took a journalist, and I purposely asked, is Arise there? And they say yes, they were there. So we went to kilometer 18, where one Mrs. Ijoma, who is carrying this my name, rightly or wrongly, outside the country, and of course within country, There's nothing she has not done to my name. So, so we went there, and I asked, please, I want you to check and tell me if there is any development here. Tell me if there is even any sandfield, in that place. We have passed that location, and our sandfield, taking the base measurement from the virgin land, is, over 7 meters. So there was no sandfilling, there was no structure. It was a mere gatehouse that was met in that place, and your people documented it. So there's no development. So where is the 250? If the diaspora people contributed $250 million, it needs to be investigated. She needs to pay tax on that. It means that she still has the money, because there is no infrastructure in that place. And Steve, we're a nation of ruled by law. And so the law is very clear. Last night, I had a filling station when I was still in charge of, my private company. So my state sent me, they sent this thing to the company and said, look, we are demolishing this filling station for overriding public interest. There's nothing you can do about it. I've had my filling station demolished completely in Port Harcourt, in Aba, and now it is happening in Ebonyi State. And so the law is very clear. Where there is overriding public interest, that is what the law says. And so we have passed. And I'm from Southeast. I cannot come to Lagos to be dragging land. The owner of land in Lagos State is the governor of Lagos State. And he has done a revocation order. It has been gazetted according to law. And so there is nothing between us and the woman, as far as, that place is, concerned. She even said that I'm incompetent, I don't know how somebody who's not an engineer will measure the competence or incompetence of, someone else, especially somebody like me, And so we were there yesterday. So there is nothing you can show that even 1 million naira is being invested in that place. So I want to say that that woman is still with that money, and if she has that money, it's yielding interest for her. And we should collect, tax, from that money that she's holding. That's my take. And then on the Landmark, you see everything in Nigeria is about politics. If you go to Landmark, we have passed that section, you will see his two buildings, 2 towers that's still standing. What they were talking about were shanties, that were at the waterfront. Shanties that he rented to other people and collected money. And those people did not pay tax. So there is nothing like a demolition. And then coming to compensation, by law, if you build anything, within 250 meters from the ocean, bank, you are not entitled to compensation. It belongs to the federal government. But the president said, look, go and pay them compensation. As of today in Section 1, we paid about 18 billion on compensation. We have done that. In the woman's case, we have evaluated, and these evaluators are federal government licensed evaluators, and also the state government also. So we are using higher fee to pay them, and so whether it is shanty or it is a major building in some cases, But then let me specifically say what happened in this issue of the woman, that is contending. MTN came to us, to Kuaja, and said, look, our cables are running through the sea there. And the African Plus came to us and said, our cables are running through there. And they wrote letters to Mr. President. Mr. President invited me and said, this is what these people are saying. And that was the week we were coming out from cable cut, I think within West Africa that affected all communication, in Nigeria. So he said to me, do not go through that location. You must save their cables. And we had meetings with these two companies. They showed us where the cables were coming from. They had meeting with the contractor. And then we did public, hearing on that. We did public hearing twice on that. And we showed, on the from the Google map and on our, LED screen, how these, cables were running. So we decided to bypass, and of course we were going to be demolishing over 7,000 buildings, even though they were built on the gazetted route of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. But that is not the issue. The issue is to save, the cables, because there was nothing else we could do. In fact, in one of the sections, we are going to be building a flyover, over one of the, where they have their, power station. We're going to be doing that. And somebody will say, why didn't you build a, flyover there? We couldn't build a flyover because it's at the bank of the river. It's coming from the ocean and then it's going through the land. So we have to avoid it. So we now had to consult Lagos State government, and they gave us this route that we followed. And this route has saved over 7,500 houses, whether they were legally built or illegally built. They are Nigerians, they are our people. And so we followed this route where there was no single, building, just mere land, And so we don't pay compensation in a bare land because all land belongs to government. So we don't pay compensation of bare land, So, but the gatehouse, you know what is gatehouse now, Steve, Yes. We have evaluated it, I don't know how much, but it's good. So today by 1 p.m., we are going to be, running, another, public awareness. And of course, Arise is invited, to talk about compensation of Section 2, running from Eleko, down to the Ogun, the border between Lagos and Ogun. We're going to be doing that. And we've checked. We don't have much compensation. It's estimated about 4 billion. That's what I saw last night.
All right.
But we're going to be making it available to public.
All right.
And by next week, we start paying.
Honorable Minister, we're almost short of time, but just before we let you go, I wanted you to speak on an issue that was raised by the natural lawmaker from the House of Reps, Rep. Jonathan Wefui, on the 1.24 trillion Sukuk funds that have been spent on roads between 2017 and 2024. We know that the the Committee on Works has launched a probe into that. Do you have any response to this? Because they believe that is the lawmaker who brought this up believes that, infrastructure remains deplorable and these funds may have been subjected to other uses. Briefly, if you could just speak on this, as that report is meant to come in 6 weeks.
Yeah, there is nothing like Sukuk projects. Sukuk is a complementary, funding. It's a complementary funding. What are we saying? If you have budgetary allocation, let's say Abuja Kano, for example, and you have 10 billion, and this 10 billion will not achieve much. So then, you now have a set of some money from Sukuk to add to the budgetary provision, to, assist the funding of that project. And so I wouldn't be, I didn't go back to look at what happened in my ministry in 2017, but I can tell you what happened to, the Sukuk that I, superintended over, and that is 2023 Sukuk. and that was 250 billion. And so what we did, in an equitable manner, is to share this 250 billion into 6 geopolitical zones. And every zone got 41.6 billion. And then we sat down with DMO, that the Debt Management Office, who is the people in charge of this program. So we sat down and said, look, this project is at 85%. If we put 10 billion, can we get it completed? And that's what we have done.
All right. Unfortunately, Senator Dave Umahi, I hope you can hear us. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the program. Very brilliant initiatives you have put out there, especially the initiative of the installation of CCTV cameras in all the bridges in Lagos, to prevent suicide. I think that's quite a commendable move as well. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show this morning. We hope to bring you back to the program.